assuming you have
Valid.
super steady hands,
Valid.
you stop breathing for a second.
In Call of
Yeah,
Duty, you're like,
what camera? Where you at?
I actually quit my work. I handed my resignation a couple of days ago, so
You're a creator.
Wow.
what's up, Keith?
Hey, Paolo. How are you?
All good, all good. Welcome to our Creators on Creators.
Thank you for being with me on this podcast.
Likewise.
Yeah. Cool. I guess we should introduce ourselves. So, what is your name and what is the type of content you create?
So my name is Paolo, and I like to call myself a storyteller, filmmaker, and I guess I create quote unquote cinematic content on social media.
Great. My name's Keith. Similar to you, I make storytelling type of videos. I like calling myself a storyteller as well. Filmmaker, and this is where all the other titles come, depending who I'm talking to, like creative director, creative strategist, content creator.
Just everything.
I just like to make creative stuff. Yeah,
For sure. What led you to start creating all of that?
That's a good question. I've always loved watching films and TV. I think every kid says that when they were younger, but I really, really loved enjoying it to the point where my brother would play games on Xbox 360 or GameCube or whatever, and I would prefer to watch just because I could take in all the stuff that was happening. And then from there, it just evolved into, I like to consume these stories. How about I start to try and tell stories of my own? And then I got into marketing. I guess I can discuss that a bit later as well, but got into marketing. Didn't really understand the different facets of marketing. Tried a bunch of different stuff and then figured out that I really like to help people come up with ideas and ideation and all that type of stuff. And that's kind of where it kind of just took off. Also helps that my wife is a YouTuber as well. That's a very big, very big factor into why I started creating.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
No, I feel like it was the same. I feel like just consuming stuff from YouTube, and growing up, I always thought I was gonna be this long form creator, and obviously that's what I kind of started doing. And it wasn't until late last year or early last year when I just kind of delved into the short form content, and that just suddenly popped. So now I found myself on the short form side and trying to get back into the long form. So I'm just kind of sorry, but so I'm just trying to create content on just everyday mundane life and trying to tell stories through that, because I feel like that's what's kind of relatable to everyone. So.
Yeah. I watch all your videos, bro. I watch all your YouTube stuff as well.
Same.
Yeah. I think we both, I think I saw your video first. It was the elevator one in Canary Wharf.
Yeah.
That was the first video I saw of yours.
Yeah, I saw your shoe one. I always like to joke around where everyone was like, we were in the same graduating class of social media when you blew up.
Was it March 2023?
Yeah, March 2023. Yeah. Magical time.
Cool. Off the top of your head, what's your favorite brand collaboration in a few words and why?
Favorite brand is Virgin Atlantic, just because I love traveling and sending us to New York, one of my favorite cities in the world. Clearly, hands down my best brand collab so far. Okay. And the brief was really loose, and they gave us total creative freedom.
Yeah. No, that was good.
Yours?
Yeah, mine was Gucci, only because I was not expecting that at all, and I was actually working on a different shoot, and then that came through, and it was kind of it was a moment where I was just like, what the hell is going on?
Moment.
What the hell is going on? And I think it kind of opened my eyes to creating fashion content that isn't what you typically see every day. And I'm just able to make short films, and knowing that the shoe video was the start of that, and then that was now a milestone. So it just reminds me of if you can do that, you kind of do everything or anything.
Yeah, I need to see more Gucci videos, man, from you.
Well, Gucci,
hit them up.
What camera? Where you at? When it comes to, I guess, working with brands in that sense, do you prefer to have complete creative freedom, or do you like when they give you a brief that you can kind of follow?
I actually like having a brief to kind of follow, because at least that's what they want, and then obviously trying to figure out how to put my twist into that brief. And plus, I think I really like I like challenges. So
Yeah.
I think if I had total creative freedom, it would be easy for me to kind of like go the easy way and like do my usual stuff. But when like they have a brief that they kind of give me, and sometimes if it's like kind of like not my usual thing, I'd like to kind of I see it as a challenge to see how I could put up Paolo twist and try to like put that brief to life. So yeah, definitely brief.
Yeah. The Paolo twist.
How about you?
I'm the same, you know. I do like a brief, and I think, do I follow the briefs all the time? Obviously, I'm not gonna like just discard the brief, but I'll look at it, be like, how, as you said, like, how would I put a Keith twist on this, and then kind of work with the agency or the brand to make sure it's like relevant to my audience or quite similar to the things that I'm doing. And I feel that when that does happen and I'm able to execute it in the way that I want to, and also works well for them, it gains that level of trust.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's when especially when you're working with somebody new or a brand that's new, the more you do that, I think over time, then they're like, right, here's an open brief, but you already know what we kind of like. Yeah. And I think that's kind of.
So let's say it's your dream brand, right? And would you rather have that creative freedom or like a really big budget?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say a big budget.
Yeah, facts.
Big budget. Big budget. Yeah, just because then I just want to make something crazy.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like a big budget too, like I kind of like the pressure to kind of like deliver.
Yeah,
on like
exactly.
that big budget, and I feel like it kind of helps put my worth like just put more work into it because they're like, okay, you see, I'm like worth that big budget, then I'm gonna give you a big budget.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I always, with every like person I work with, I always try to do something new as well, like something I haven't done, which whilst you're doing it is probably not the most easygoing experience, but I feel like it just adds an element of learning to it, and then I guess with more budget it allows you to just try different things, but obviously we try not to waste the budget they give us and stuff, and then when it comes to working with brands, do you prefer tight turnarounds or you don't mind that, or tight turnarounds, or are you like, we want them to have as much time as possible?
I think for me, I like tight turnarounds. I kind of like thrive on like chaos. I don't know. People say like that's the Aries in me, but I kind of like the pressure of like tight turnarounds.
Yeah.
If you were to tell me like have it by Monday, I'm like, I bet. Especially like if I do have the time to do so. Yeah. I like getting comments being like, "What the heck? You were literally just." There.
You're a different type
of
person.
How are you like posting it? So it kind of helps feed that. Yeah. But yeah, I think I actually wouldn't mind a tight turnaround.
Yeah. I've seen that. Like, I've literally been with you, and then 2 hours later, there's a video. I'm like, how?
I feel like it's nice because it makes people think it's like magic. But how about you? Tight turnaround or like a delayed payment?
I think I prefer tight turnaround. Similar to you, I think that adds that kind of pressure. I think nobody likes delayed payments. It's just like, why, you know? Because especially when they're like, let's say payment terms, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days is crazy. If let's not do 90 days. But for example, 90 days, 30 days. In my mind, I'm like, great, okay, cool. I'm going to like plan financially. I'm going to move things around for when stuff is coming in. And then when things turn up late, 1 or 2 days, fine. But then if you're chasing for like a month or 2 months, it's just, I actually I just try not to work with people like that ever again. And I think that's that power of saying no to things, not just like the briefs, but also I think people that you work with as well. If you want me to have a tight turnaround and I'm respecting your time, then also respect my time.
Have a tight turnaround in that payment.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. Do you edit on your laptop or do you edit on your phone?
Laptop, PC. So I edit on my PC mostly. That's my advice. How about you?
Mostly my laptop. But if it's like something quick, then my phone.
Do you shoot S-Log or X709?
S leg all the way.
Yeah, S log all the way. S log 3.
S log 3.
Never off that.
Esinitone.
Esinitone who?
Yeah, no, I'm joking. Color grade or straight from the camera?
Nah, color grade all the way.
Yeah.
I thought about straight from the camera before, but I was like, nah, I think color grade.
Yeah, I'm the same, color grade. Though, if it's like a story, then I'm not color grading. That's on my phone and that's straight from the camera. But I'll edit it and like,
damn, you're a better man than me.
like CapCut and stuff, depending on like the type of story I'm putting out. I feel like I know the answer to this question for you, but long form or short form?
I mean, I want to be long form, but I feel like short form is just amazing, man. Like, trying to get those stories out in 30 seconds or 60 seconds is like, I actually like really like, and it helps me. I'm like, it's the one time I'm very consistent.
Yeah.
So short form's definitely easier, but long form's always a dream. How about you?
It's literally the same answer. Yeah. I think short form allows you to connect with your community faster.
Yeah.
Especially, and like, obviously, you know, do good work, make good videos, make things that impact people, all of that stuff. But I guess the frequency of putting that short form is just a lot easier to do than a long form video. But when you get long form right,
facts.
Yeah, you get it right. You know what I mean?
All right, if you had to lose one piece of your kit, like tripod, camera, laptop, or phone, what would it be and why?
Tripod.
Tripod?
Yeah. The reason...
Have you been without a tripod before?
I've been without a tripod before, but I feel like cameras, the in-body stabilization is getting a lot better. Especially when you, for example, you've got, the camera strap, you have like points of contact against your body and stuff. Some of the softwares allow you to have like tripod mode. So it reads the video and then it stabilizes it as if you had a tripod anyway. Yeah. So assuming you have super steady hands, you stop breathing for a second and then you shoot, then yeah. But
yeah, I saw you doing that like in New York. You were like, you did that sniper breath like in Call of Duty.
Yeah,
you were like,
yeah, exactly. So, and yourself?
For me, I think it would be mic. Like I feel like I don't really mic up anymore. Like on set. Yeah. When I say on set, like in the real world. Because I like voiceovers. So I'm happy with that. Like everything else, I need like ND filter. It's a must.
Yeah, it is a must. There should be more cameras with
built-in NDs. Hell yeah, that's the stream.
You're a creator. You know,
I am.
It has all the good stuff that comes with it. Like, you know, freedom, meeting up with people, connecting with community and everything. But what are some of the challenges you would say that you've had to face as a creator?
I think for me at the moment, it's like balancing like time, just with work and obviously kind of creating and then kind of curating ideas. Yeah. As well as just relationships, obviously with my girlfriend, with friends, like meeting up with them. So like I realized there's so much time like I had to sacrifice, and I actually quit my work. I handed my resignation a couple of days ago. So hopefully that's some time that I get to gain back to put into like relationships and content. So yeah, time is like one of my biggest challenges as a creator.
Okay, cool. For me, it was actually the shift coming from 9 to 5 to being a creator. And I guess being a creator is essentially like you're, in some ways, like a freelancer. So it's managed. How do you best manage your day when you have so many hours potentially free? Do you fill it with work? And like you're saying, do you spend time with loved ones more and everything? So I think the last year, that was a thing I kept thinking about, was like, I don't want to like start my day at 4 p.m. because it can be very easy to do that.
Damn, but I'm so going to do that.
Yeah. But at the same time, I still want to have like a healthy view of like what it means to work in this way. So again, not waking up at 5 a.m. to hustle culture and do all the stuff when it's not necessarily needed. I think that's been one thing I've definitely had to work through this year. Still working through it, I think, but it's good.
Oh, and as a creator, obviously, we're like one man. Like we're not like what's the saying? It's like we're not on an island or something.
Yeah.
Obviously, like we have to have like a community around us, and like so. What are like some of your techniques for like growing and engaging your audience and building a community around you?
So there's a phrase. I can't. I think it's a TV show. I obviously, as I said, I watched a lot of TV. So I think it's a TV show, where I got this phrase from. It was be interested, not interesting. And I've taken that approach to conversations I've had with people in real life. But also, I guess that also is my approach to what I put out online. I guess with just in terms of how short form content is at the moment, it's like you're the person people look at and everything. But I do think there's a way to create content that impacts people or gets people to leave questions or leave answers to things, and then you can go in and build a community by responding to them and everything, and just like speaking into the things that they're also thinking about.
I agree.
And I think that's kind of how I approach real life conversations. So it's just a sense of bringing that online, and then also I guess just trying to provide value at the same time. And values, it's values determined by the person who's intaking the content. But also I feel like if we remain teachable, we can learn from any and everybody. So what is it that I've learned? And if I think it's interesting and I had to learn that, then I think maybe there'll be like 10 other people, 50,000, 10,000 other people who will be like, oh, I actually want to learn this too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I think for me, like the way I love engaging with like my audience, because I feel like I treat everyone like they're friends.
Yeah.
I feel like with how social media did start at the start, it's like a space for you and your friends, and obviously now that there's all these strangers, essentially like I see them as friends. So
yeah,
that's why I always try to interact with everyone, just because I feel like everyone wants that creative connection.
Yeah.
And just sometimes by like you answering, or like I love the whole like no gatekeeping culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I always try to share as much information, because then that ends up getting passed along from like me to another person, and then again help someone else, and now you've kind of got this kind of like chain reaction of like inspiration. So it's stuff like that I love, and I kind of want to just help create events, like bring people together, because back in Feb when I went to Creator Camp, which is like this camp full of like creators, like I got so much like inspiration from there.
Yeah.
That I feel like I've been inspired ever since then, and I feel like I'm trying to like pass all that inspiration.
Yeah, I feel the energy.
Yeah.
I would say that I've said to you before, I think I say it to you every time I see you, like you're really good at like cultivating and like bringing community about.
So likewise, like I think it's just seeing other people do that helps inspire me. So I'm hoping that like when they see us doing the stuff that we're doing, they're like, oh, I'm gonna also build a community, and yeah.
There's room for everybody,
Exactly.
That's cool. Are you with management or are you an independent creator?
I am with this amazing management called Shift.
Oh, I think I've heard of them.
Oh,
wait, I'm also with Shift.
Oh, you're with Shift too, yeah.
No, their Shift are great. The whole team there. I think they were the first like agency or like talent management agency that spoke to me like I was an actual human.
Yeah.
Because I had gone to a few other meetings and I was referred to as like, like
asset.
Yeah, so I've told you this before, isn't it? Yeah, referred to as an asset, and like, oh, you're part of like I'm a number or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, I'm sitting there thinking, what are you?
No.
Like I'm speaking to you as a human, like also refer to me as one too.
I agree, and I feel like they never really like cared about the numbers.
Exactly.
When we signed.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, just looking at like the roster, it's like a lot of like great people.
Yeah, exactly.
That was signed on. So.
Yeah, like genuinely great. Like when you speak to them in person, like genuinely.
And also the team are amazing. They've been
exactly.
So
they're killing it as well.
Shout out Shift.
So how do you work on building creator relationships?
Oh, I think it goes back to like kind of audience, like engaging with the audience. So I think I try to just message them as if like they're my mates and like they're friends. And I feel like I've almost fulfilled like this checklist of all like I said, we're in the same graduating class.
Yeah.
There was this like, there must have been this big shift in like the short form space like last March, because when like all us like storytelling focused creators and like filmmakers, we all kind of blew up around that time. So I feel like I made it a goal of mine to like kind of just meet every single one.
No, I feel you definitely
those people, and I think I've got like a handful left, and I think it's great because it just goes to kind of like remind me that I'm not alone in like this journey. So I always try to reach out, and if even like no matter like the numbers, how many followers or so, if they're like want to grab a coffee, I'm always down. So
Yeah.
that's something I'm looking forward to once I'm full time. Now it can be like cool. I can't use work as an excuse. So I'm definitely like, what? How about you? How do you work on creator relationships?
I think it's pretty similar approach to you as well. It's just like if I see somebody doing cool stuff, regardless of whether like I'm able to do stuff with them or not, I always just make it a point to be like, this was great, like genuine. Here's why I liked it. And also, if I notice somebody's like in my area or they're close by, like by a story or something, I'd be like, oh, you're around. It'd be great to grab coffee or grab lunch and just catch up or say hello or introduce ourselves for the first time, And I think like this creator, this way of working it as a creator, it can feel, as you were saying, like a sometimes like an island where everybody's on their own thing. And I think as much as you can bring people together and just let people know that it doesn't really, we don't even have to make the same type of content, but we can still, advise each other, encourage each other, go to each other for help with this, that, and whatever. Just.
I feel like another thing I think you're really good at is like, you're really good at like giving people their flowers or like putting other people on.
Thank you.
As well. So yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's important because it's just like the way I operate is just like treat others the way that you want to be treated, and also leave people better than you found them.
Yeah.
So if it's just like an encouraging word that I can give, I never have to speak to you again. If you don't want to speak to me, that's fine. But it's just like like you're doing great, and like keep going.
Cool. Do you think you have a healthy relationship with social media?
Oh, I would like to think so. So my wife and I, we Saturdays and Sundays we don't post. So we try and make it intentional to stay off social media as much as possible. Sometimes, you're going to the kitchen, you're waiting for your microwave. Somehow you've ended up on TikTok for 2 hours. That might happen on a Saturday, but we try and stay away from it as much as possible, just because it's effectively our jobs now. That like Monday, like basically all the time, and it can be all consuming, especially because your platforms are for you, yes, but then you also have this audience who are kind of looking to you for something, whether it's like, they just want to see what you're up to, or you are a creator who teaches stuff and educates people. So they're going to be coming to you often, and it can be quite easy to fall into the cycle of like, oh, I need to check this, or emails come through, I need to make sure this. Do you know what I mean? So for us, it was just an intentional decision to be like Saturday and Sundays are days just for us, or to spend with family, or just to be offline. No one's going anywhere.
Yeah.
So we can just come back on a Monday, and then we can just resume. And yeah, we've tried to do that. Are we successful? Who knows? Who knows? But I think it's one thing that's kind of helped us with that. How's your relationship with social media?
I mean, I'm on there 24/7. Like some people might say that's like unhealthy, but I feel like I do like have a balance. So I think naturally I'm like a person just likes to just share everything anyway.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm always spamming my stories. And I like post every other day. But I think, especially with like quitting my job, I think I'm gonna start to find that balance of like where I need to be at. And obviously kind of like I like how obviously you told me before, like weekends are literally like no work, and obviously treating like social media as if it was like a 9 to 5. That may be something that I might like look at. But at the same time I don't wanna think of it as a 9 to 5, because then it might just feel like a 9 to 5 where you kind of start hating it. So I'm just trying to like find a good balance.
I feel you. I think it can also, it's a tough one as well, because like there's nothing inherently wrong with having social media or being social media. You know what I mean? I think it comes down to the individual. Like if anything, it's just stopping you from, I use this word very like sparingly, and it's not necessarily the word I want to say, but productive, because I'm very, very cautious of hustle culture. But if it's causing you to like not do things that you said you want to do, or not speak to people that you said you want to catch up with, or missing out on things, like with anything, and social media can be one of those things. It's like you or somebody that you might be accountable to, or a community you're accountable to, you should be able to go to there, or they should be able to come to you and say, hey, have you thought about, just relaxing for one day on it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And just having that. And I feel like having a 9 to 5 job, like, office job or whatever you're doing, kind of gives people that separation, because you definitely can't be on social media all day and your man is just over your shoulder staring at you. But as you become as a creator, I think maybe it's just that's something I think about quite often. I think. Yeah.
Speaking of like work, what is your creative process when like you do receive that brief like for a brand?
Okay. Ooh, good question. I think I don't know if it's a bad habit, but if somebody's, especially if it's like in person and they're briefing me in person, I always do this thing where you're talking to me and I'm already thinking of the idea. So that definitely happens. But normally when I get a brief, depending on like the level of requirement that they need from me and like the production they need, there's like a tiered way that I will do stuff. I always start with a storyboard, whether it's like in my mind or I jot one down and use all of the programs to build it out. And then depending on what they need from me is whether they'll get like storyboard, like script and all that stuff, or if it's like, we just want you to say all of this stuff. I'll still kind of give like a bullet pointed list of this is how I'm going to do stuff. But more recently, it's been a lot of like storyboards and people want to see the creative idea or the execution of it and how I'm going to do it. I think the only time I go all out is when they use the word like short film or like whatever. That's when I'm like, okay, here's the location, here's this, here's that, here are the people that are going to be in it. Camera I might use, why I'm going to use it, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And yourself? What about you?
I think kind of the same. So like when the brand does come in, I kind of like try to think of like the hook straight away and then try to like build around that. And then obviously typically, luckily with our management, we get like kind of the creative brief before.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we get a deadline for like kind of the creative brief that we have to write. For the creative brief, I'll go straight into like the storyboards because I feel like it's easier to kind of like for them to see like what it's like. So I'm always like on shot there getting reference images and then like just writing the scripts out and then obviously less open to like kind of changes. So
yeah, exactly.
That's kind of what I go on. And then once they've approved that, then it goes like straight to shooting. And typically there's like minimal changes because obviously
you kind of show
they've kind of shown them like through step by step. So I think like that's been a good working process for me so far.
I always give somewhat of a disclaimer, but like if one shot looks a bit different, it's just because just know in the moment it was probably better to do.
I feel like I've never followed it anyway.
But I feel that's the kind of as long as they get the vibe of what you're trying to achieve, then I think it's good. But I agree, like having a storyboard or as much information as you can give them, whether it's if you're someone who likes to write and then you want to bullet point out or like you want to visually show people stuff, then as much as you can do that up front, the easier it is, as you were saying, for them not to come back and be like, change this. Or
I realize not everyone probably does storyboard, right? But do you reckon we have like kind of like a filmmaking background where?
I think that's mainly it. I think probably that's probably why we do it. But I would even encourage people, even if it's not a presentation, find a video that's quite similar to yours, whether you've done it already on your page, or a creator or a brand who's done something similar. Just say, here's kind of what I'm thinking of doing, and particularly here in this particular is what I want to do. But yeah, storyboards, visual references, I would definitely say is like the way to go.
I feel like brands love that.
Yeah, they love that. Yeah. they love that.
What was your like 9 to 5 back when like you were in that industry?
Yeah, so my 9 to 5. My last title was brand and content manager, and I was leading like a team of creatives and like freelancers. But generally, I have been working in marketing and advertising for like 9 to 10 years, specializing in creative strategy and like editorial campaigns, social media campaigns, all of that stuff. I worked at an agency for like a year and a half. I left just before I became the community director there as well. So I feel like I always say to people, my strength is actually creative strategy and coming up with ideas. Is kind of why I guess when people talk to me, I'm already like,
yeah,
here's the idea, let's run with it. So coming from that background and also working in some in actual not agency side but client side, like actual brands. So having that experience, I feel like coming into this, I have quite a unique perspective as a creator and a creative freelance creative, because I've been on all 3-4 sides of that.
Okay, so it's really interesting how like you were in that space before, but like you said earlier that you've kind of found it hard to transition between.
Yeah. So the reason for that being is because agency land, ad land, whatever you want to call it, is fast paced and it can be very, 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 very demanding. And with that, but also really, really good, if just in case anyone wants to go work in the agency, you learn lots and you meet a lot of great people. But with that comes this way of working that you have to determine whether it's healthy or unhealthy. And it can be very easy to bring all of that in. So, for example, there were days where I would wake up at like 5 a.m., not sleep or turn my laptop off at 9 p.m., some days 3 a.m. So I'm doing like crazy 22-hour days.
Yeah.
Because, you're working for multiple clients and everything. And it can be, with this being on the other side of that, you can also kind of bring that in. So for me, it's been quite an intentional journey to be like, actually, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., like no one's really gonna care if I give you this at 9 a.m. tomorrow, unless you really, really, really specify.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of been my journey on that, and adjusting, because I also know when somebody gives me a brief, I've been that person in multiple stages where their manager has said you need to get this, or I've told somebody you need to get this, so I can empathize with exactly how they're feeling. So yeah, it's one I'm still adjusting to. I feel like I found now like a healthy balance. It's just making sure now I don't go the other way where I'm like, it's fine
Chill.
and everything.
Yeah, I'll definitely be hitting you up for more like advice on that, man.
Yeah, well, I'm still learning, so we can definitely learn together. What about yourself? You said that you've recently...
So I'm like a senior developer.
Yeah.
And I think back in school I've always been like and I feel like the whole like computer science was something I kind of fell into. And it was the first thing that I actually like worked hard for and I excelled at. That's why it was like so hard for me to kind of like drop it.
Yeah.
When it comes to creating stuff, which like for my creative passions. And I feel like I've had this unhealthy balance of like the 9 to 5, and then I was like, yeah, now I've got my 5 to 9, and obviously I've been having like sleeping for 2 to 4 hours because I feel like my 9 to 5 was kind of like wasting my creative time. So finding that balance, and it didn't hit until recently where I was like, when I got sick, and I was like, I think this is it. I don't think I could like really like sustain that anymore. So that's why I'm trying to like see what it's like being like a full-time creator before like moving back into like back to the programming space, because I don't think I could ever like drop that, because as much as like videos and creative making creative like movies are my passion, I feel like software development was also like in a weird way also like a passion for me. So it's almost like it's going to swap now, where content creating is like the 9 to 5, and then I'm gonna use like kind of like do some spare time like coding. But yeah, so that's what my life is gonna be like. So that's why I was like, I'm definitely gonna have so much more questions to be like trying to find that balance with my time, because I feel like I've been so like full on with work that when I do kind of like finally have that first day of being unemployed, I'm just gonna be like, screw everything and just lounge in bed like for the whole like next month. So that's what I'm scared at. I feel like,
but I feel like that's important though, to like have that adjustment period where you can just be like, okay, I've literally come from years and years and years of doing one thing, and now, even though you're kind of doing it now, like, not even kind of, you're doing it very successfully, but now this is going to be pretty much what eats up all of your time in like the best way. Having that period to actually just allow yourself to adjust mentally, let your body adjust to that as well, is just going to be it's going to be really, really valuable. I think.
Yeah.
And I think I always say it to people, and you said it too. It's like never lose your passions as well. Like the fact that coding is part of what you do. It's never lose it. There's stuff like I love Lego. Do you know what I mean? I don't talk about it online enough. I love trainers. I love all that type of stuff. People like when I say that, like, oh, you don't show it. I'm like, yeah, maybe I will one day, but I'm never going to lose the fact that these things really, really interest me, even though I do this other thing full time. Like, at one point I was a successful reseller of sneakers, and I'm a recovering sneaker addict.
Damn, you're the reason I couldn't get them shoes.
But things that make up your passions also make up the things that you do in a day-to-day basis. So I think like definitely don't lose that. I think advice to myself. Even as I'm saying it.
Yeah, like you said, we're like just learning.
Yeah, exactly. It's a journey. Yeah, like you have to be willing to like be teachable to like the seasons of life that's like in front of you.
There's just so much like content creator they don't really tell you.
No, they don't. And we've only been doing it like
literally just a year.
A year. So it feels. I would say to my wife Adela, it feels like I've been doing this a lot longer than I actually have, based on some of the things that I've been able to do, and I have to constantly remind myself and give myself grace that actually no, you've only been doing this a year, and even in that year. Like you were thrust into this whole thing, so you have to. Like Chloe even said to me one time, Chloe, our manager.
Yeah, thrust is definitely the word.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. She even said to me, like, you're doing things that people would have done over 3-4 years, and I'm like, yeah, I have to chill out. Like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
like I actually have to chill out and give myself time and space to be able to like adjust and everything.
But I think this is where the unhealthy like part of social media comes for me, because now I'm like, if I do take a break, I'm scared that the algorithm might start hating me.
Yeah,
be like, yo, where you been?
I've been there. I may currently be there, but we've spoken about this loads, and I think that to a certain extent, at a certain point, you just have to realize that actually it's just out of your hands.
Yeah,
it literally just out of your hands.
Great.
Sometimes you just need to relax.
Yeah.
You yourself need to relax. And if Mr. or Mrs. Algorithm wants to be like, well, you haven't posted in a few days, then so be it. After a while, like you'll definitely come back. Because it's more about actually, as we were saying, like making stuff that resonates with people rather than
the algorithm.
Yeah, rather than the algorithm. Because the right people will see it, I think, when they're meant to see it.
Yeah. I'm just glad I didn't blow up doing a dance TikTok for like the algorithm, because you'd be stuck on that.
Yeah. There was a trend that I did the Wes Anderson trend.
So you just thought you'd be doing Wes Anderson?
I thought I was I made a very intentional pivot to move away from that. But yeah, it's funny how like people like blow up in different ways and everything. But yeah, everyone's on their journey, I guess.
It's life.
All right, so Paolo.
Yes.
I have a brief for you. 60 seconds on the
Crazy.
clock. I'm gonna read out the
60 seconds.
The aim, examples, deliverables, and then I want you to come up with an idea.
Okay.
And if you have time in the 60 seconds, what you would charge.
Do I have to create it as well?
What in the No, you probably do it in the 30 seconds to come up with it, 30 seconds to make it. Cool. So your brief. To inspire your audience to journal more and get their ideas from pen to paper. Whether it's reflecting on your day or doing a brain dump, highlight the benefits of jotting things down in the brand's high-quality journals and daily planner notes and daily planner notebooks. Create content that passes helpful hints or tips onto your audience with the content that educates your audience whilst ensuring it's also realistic and attainable. Content examples could be timestamp vlogs, so highlighting moments throughout the day with journaling, planning naturally integrated. You could do before and afters, so show how jotting things down in journals or planners has transformed your daily life or your goals in big and small ways. Deliverables, you have one TikTok video to do. It has 6 months of organic usage on the brand's own social channels, and you have 1 month of UK paid usage rights on influencer channels and brands' own socials. So that's your brief.
Damn.
Hit me with an idea. You've got 60 seconds. Cool. And if you can, let us know how much you would charge.
Straight away, for sure, I'm starting with like Dear Diary. I kind of like poetry, so I think I'm gonna just like kind of poeticize like the whole day.
Yeah.
And then visual-wise, I'm definitely gonna like slap like a pen to like the end of like Magic Arm on the camera, and then just like try to jot down and have that POV. See, I think it's just Dear Diary today. Like I woke up, and tried to like. I'll probably make this one like a poem one, kind of like rhyming. Just talk about how like journaling's just helped me. But I think for me, it's like it's the visuals that's gonna like, get me there. Like just the whole pen POV. Like I love that. So like, anything with the Magic Arm. So I'll probably just do a whole day in life. Okay. As it's like writing, I could picture like the text, kind of like if you've ever watched Walter Mitty, it'd have like on there while I'm doing like the everyday life. So that's like the video. Definitely like keep it to 30 seconds. I don't know about the music because TikTok seems to just ban every single piece of music no matter what. So I'll probably just repost it on Instagram anyway. And then fees wise, see, look, before I was in like management, I would have charged like £300 for this.
I know.
And that's when like people just slap me for that. But I think for this one, organic usage, I think typically it'd be like, I don't know, like 7 to 10K. For like the TikTok.
Okay, cool. Inclusive of everything.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But I'm still like so crap at like figuring out like rates. So thank God for management.
Thank God for management. Yeah, that's real.
Shout out Chloe.
Yeah. As you were talking, my mind was just like, I was about to riff with you. Like, you could do this, you could. I was like,
that's my brief.
That's your brief, yeah. Your brief.
All right, here's your brief though.
Okay, cool.
This one's a fun one. This one's called Luxury Paint DIY. A leading paint brand wants to encourage homeowners to unleash their creativity as they anticipate summer months throughout the power of color. Spruce up your home with a DIY project using the brand's luxury paint range. The brand has a tight turnaround for this campaign of 14 days. 14 days to paint. So, concept examples. Easy and quick DIY upcycle project. Transform your home into the whole room makeover. And your deliverables is you can pick one of three. An Instagram reel and paid usage of 30 days on Instagram. So what's your concept and how much would you charge for this whole campaign?
So, as you were speaking, I've figured that out already. I don't even need the 60 seconds. Maybe like 20 seconds. No, I'm joking.
10 seconds.
So, what I would do is I would have a spotlight, a coloured spotlight of the person in frame, wherever it's me, talking about each room should reflect you. Then it would match cut to the silhouette of the person's head against the wall. So, painted around it. So the inside of the paint bit will be like your silhouette, and then it would switch to them painting, and then I would do that for each room. So for like the living room, it might be like, let's say my mum's in it, it might be blue silhouette of her match cut to her painting and everything. So I would do that, and to reflect like how each room would reflect their moods, and I'm assuming there would be different textures or different shines or even different finishes to each paint. So that would also be reflected into why each person might be painting the room a very different way. Instagram reel, I think I would do. Voiceover, all the bells and whistles with like the sound effects and everything. That would be it. And also Magic Arm paintbrush. You have to shot. That would be my idea.
How much would you charge for it?
How much I would charge for it? For that? I think kind of similar, maybe like somewhere between 7 to 10K.
Yeah.
I think most of that actually just goes into the fact of how we're actually going to film it and the production and the color.
For sure, I think that's what goes into.
But yeah, hopefully that made sense.
10K for watching paint dry, crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's very, very crazy. If you need, I can do another 60 seconds. Make the storyboard.
Even a power move. If you just like recorded just the paint drying.
And
charge him like
that's true.
8K.
Oh, you could do like macro shots of like the paint.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
With ASMR.
Yeah.
Damn, that's 20K right there.
Yeah.
Speaking of 20K, money talks.
Cool.
What is your highest paid deal?
My highest paid deal is, drum roll please, 75K.
That tax must be crazy.
Yeah. However, I want to preface that's not just for like one video. It's like a range of deliverables and everything, and over like a period of time. The tax on it, that's why you get a good accountant. that'll help you out.
You gotta send me that.
Yeah, but that in itself was off the back of me saying no originally to an offer they sent me earlier, and I think when you have that, like, yeah, I guess that I want to use the word integrity, but I don't want to use it in a way that's like other people don't have it. Yeah. But I think if you know what is integral to you and like your worth, saying no becomes a lot easier. And I think when you do things, I guess for the right reasons, it always finds its way back to you, whether it's with the same deal or with something else, you know. But yeah, very, very grateful to even just be in a position where that can happen. But it also means that I got to work.
Yeah,
I got to work, you know. But yeah, well, what was your highest deal?
I think mine was 38K.
Nice.
For a real and a dark ad. And I remember just when I got told that, I was like, I almost choked, being like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Especially with my old rates of like £100 for like a video.
Yeah.
Like that was like crazy to me. I think it took me like about 3 years of like working in the real world to kind of like get to that salary, which is mad. It just goes to show there's like so much money in like this ad space.
I think so. And I think I always tell people, like, when you have an audience, it's almost the same. It's not exactly the same, but it's kind of the same as a company running like paid media. Like that budget they would put into running an ad is essentially what they're putting into you. But on top of that is, you know, the skill in which you would use to create stuff. Because when I started working in this way, I would charge as if I was a very small production team. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So it's like I can go by, you know, what I guess is I wouldn't even know what the going rate is, but what typically people would normally charge. But then also this whole added value is like I'm giving you the storyboards, I'm giving you like all the timelines, I'm shooting it with like actual like professional cameras, I'm color grading it, I'm doing all this other stuff. Do you know what I mean? Plus also the expertise of I also know what it means to work in that space as well.
For sure. No, that's a good way of putting it. I think that helps a lot of like the kind of imposter syndrome of it all. Yeah. When you get paid that, it's like, when you put it this way, like, we are like a full-on production team.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
One-man production team.
Exactly. Because when I did and even just the Gucci shoot, but other things, like I paid other people like their actual rates. I wasn't trying to undercut them to come and help me hire different equipment, bought equipment. So the money's not just going to me. It's like going to other people that are helping you, the brand or the agency, to bring this idea that you have to life. Yeah. And yeah, it can be very lucrative. I guess this creator in this creator economy, but I think it also brings about a sense of responsibility as well. Like you actually are being paid to work. Yeah. And you can't just fob it off in that sense. And I think your fees should also reflect that as well. Cool. But then there are people who are just like, yo, 100K one story. I'm like,
crazy.
Yeah, you guys got it different. You guys have got it different. What was the lowest deal you've ever taken, and why did you take it?
I think minus 3 ones. I think mine was like 150. I did a bunch of like £150 deals like in my early stages before I was like signed. Yeah. And I think because obviously starting out, like I never really knew like what the rates were. Yeah. And I felt like everyone was so gatekeepy when I asked them. Like, so a lot of people were like, you shouldn't charge that, but then they would never tell me how much I should charge. So I was like, okay, cool. I won't charge 150. I'll charge 250. Yeah. And even then, like that's still low. So I feel like I've seen like a big change between that and last year. I feel like everyone's a bit more open to kind of talking about their rates. Yeah. Whereas back then, like people would literally just tell you it's low, but never tell you or advise you on how much you should charge. Yeah. So that's like one of the main factors why I like decided to like sign to management, because at least they kind of expertise. So yeah, I think like 150 was like the lowest. Yeah. And there was one which like I had about like 20 deliverables, and it was for like 2K.
Yeah, I think. Well, I won't. Yeah, we won't say it.
Yeah, I took it because that was like one of my dream brands.
Yeah. I think that's where I think maybe the first time I met you. Yeah. we were in a cinema, and we were speaking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about yours? What was your lowest?
My lowest, I think it was £1,000. And I think given what I knew at the time, it was too low for what I typically would charge. I think I had a bit of imposter syndrome and was like, oh, is this correct? Yeah, like why? Like, do you know what I mean? But after, I think I'd spoken to somebody who worked in the industry, and they were like, come on, like what are you doing? I was like, okay. So I very quickly adjusted that. And looking back, yeah, I think it was probably not the wisest thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, before this, I was not even a creator in any sense. So I never really had like a I never had like a benchmark of like what should be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's tough. So how before management, how were you like negotiating with brands?
Well, so luckily, I was in, like I was saying, I was working in marketing and advertising, and though I wasn't working in the talent management side, it was still a team I kind of would work with. In some of my day-to-day bits, whether it's on a campaign for a brand, and we would brief, and they would go out and find the creators, and we would all talk. So I was able to understand the different terminologies and everything, and give a rough estimate. So I was able to break down, it's like, right, this is this, this is this, this is this. And I think one thing when I went into these negotiations, I was very quick to say, I have agency experience, as a way to say, you're not going to pull the wool over my eyes. And in the nicest way possible, like, I can also do your job. Like, and I don't mean that to be like, oh, but like I've in some ways I've worked in the same environment you have too. So like, let's all come to a level playing field and actually move forward into best of like how we can create something good together. Because I do feel like sometimes people can take advantage, and it's understandable. Like, they're trying to create the best value for their client, because their client is going to look at the work that the agency produces, or even like the team within the brand produces, look at what they've done, line that up with their financial year, and look at their accounts and be like, I'll be reaping the rewards of our labor. So I understand why they wouldn't necessarily tell a creator, actually, you should be charging more and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I would in a nice way, just be like, yeah, I know what's going on. You know what I mean? And then we would just chat from there and everything.
At least you had that.
Yeah, and I'm very, very fortunate to have had that experience, which is why I think even the first time we met, I was like, ask this, or like,
yeah.
I even said, I think I said to you when we first met, I was like, take your prices off your media kit. Yeah, it was like, don't.
Yeah. I did no negotiating with brands. I think I just took whatever like value they sent.
Yeah.
And then one time they were like, how much would you charge for this? And I was like, I was literally like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm new to this stuff, so I don't know what I should charge. Oh, man. So I was like, you guys just set it. But then at that time, and they said 5K, and I was like, yo, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But like, so I just took,
looking out for you.
Yeah.
So looking out for you.
Looking back at it, that was like really nice of them, because they could have said like $1,000, and I would have been like, sweet. But yeah, that's
yeah.
I was so dumb back, but at the same time,
I wouldn't even say it was dumb. I would say it's just like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you get what I mean?
And for me, like, I never realized like how much value like I should like give myself. So
exactly,
and that's one of the main things that I learned like while being in management, like just
the
negotiating prices. So.
Yeah, that's one thing, is like good management will like catch all those things in those contracts and like really try to push the worth of what you're doing, especially when, for example, someone like you who is walking around with a camera that literally shot like a movie that came out in cinemas. Do you get what I mean? So like you're using movie grade equipment, and that has to be accounted for in some of the things that you do, and I think it's important. And yeah, I think just with a negotiation, I always just have like, I have the number I actually want and the number I'll be like,
Happy
right,
to, yeah.
this is what I'm happy with. And I always shoot for the stars and just say, open to negotiation. Or
Start with 100K every time.
No, I could never. Yeah, I don't think I'm even there yet, because I think even with the deal, like the 75K deal, it's like, how many videos? Maybe like what, like seven or I don't even know, seven or nine videos. Do you know what I mean? Like there are people who are saying like, yeah, one video is gonna run you this much, and brava to those people.
I know a few.
Maybe one day, who knows? But I think
for sure.
I think for me, it's like, money's great, but what is it that you're going to do with it? Like, it can change your family's life. It can help you to like fund projects that you want to do, and everything. And I think the sooner you get to negotiate and learn how to negotiate in that, like you're also negotiating for the things that you want to bring to life too, not just for the things that you want to spend the money on. Nothing wrong with that also, but that's how I look at it.
Going back to like negotiating brands, I don't know if you do this now because you're with management, or like back then, like what's the one thing you ask brands like before you collaborate? Do you still do that, or?
I do. Yeah, I do. I ask, what video of mine have you seen that made you reach out to me, or you thought was good, a similar vibe to the campaign?
Yeah.
If not mine, there must be like another creator who's done something which has made you reach out to me to be like, oh, like this is what we want. So that's one thing I always ask. And I always ask, what does success look like for this campaign? And then from there, they're able to say, well, reach or clicks or all these different things. And that, I think that also informs the creative that I go on to make, or the video or the photos or whatever I go on to make, because then I have that in the back of my mind that actually, it's meant to do this. So then I need to speak in a certain way, or shoot this very specific thing to allow people to funnel into the end result that they want. What about you? Is there anything that you ask brands?
No, that's what I was like. I feel because I'm like so new to it all that I kind of like just say yes to like most things. But I think that's one thing that I realized I should be asking is like, which one of my videos made you reach out? So I think I really love it when I look at a brief and then they've got the examples, and the examples are like a video that you've made, and I was like, wait, they actually like chose me for me instead of just being like another dude on like on a list.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I like might start just asking, is like which, and plus it's gonna help because if they know, because I do like a whole different range of videos. If I know for sure, if I ask them which one of my videos you wanted, then obviously it'll be easier for me, like for the creative and like just the video in general.
Yeah.
Become an easier process. So that's a good tip.
Yeah, no, it's just it's just like, I think it's so important when people to ask questions, even if it's not those specific questions, but just to ask questions, because then it gives them a feel for also
it's
like
a conversation. Yeah, you want to work with them too.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's I always used to say this in my 9 to 5. As much as you're working for the company is also working for you. So you also need to be able to ask questions. Like, for example,
that's that creative director energy right there, man.
Like in interviews, I would ask that like founders or managers, like, what's keeping you up at night? Like, about this job, or what are you excited for in the next 6 months for this role? Like, you have to ask these questions to be able to get things out. And then also, similar as being a creative or creator or freelancer and everything, those questions give you a feel for what it's like to actually work with those type of people, because you don't want to work with somebody who's like, yeah, just get it done.
Yeah.
You start working and then you start to realize that they're changing their mind every 2 minutes, or they're adding crazy amends. You know what I mean? I feel like through conversation you can kind of pick things up, and that's where that learning to say no or not yet or maybe later is kind of comes into it. But it's definitely a journey. Sometimes I might ask the wrong questions, and I might not hear from somebody.
So what is keeping you up at night?
What's keeping me up? This house move, man. I'm moving house at the time of this recording.
Actual question is like, do you diversify your income as a creator? And if so, how?
I am starting to think a lot more about it. Actually, Yes, I am, but I also am starting to think more about it. So, as well as being a creator, so as brands and agencies reach out, I'm trying to do more directing. So, working on projects that I might not actually be in, or it won't be obvious that I've like worked on something. So doing that, but then also other things like some events that I'm planning to do later through and getting like brands to sponsor that and building the community in that way. I have thought about like online products, but yet to be seen. But then also things away from, I guess, creative work. Just other things like looking into like property. Is that something that I can put my money in, or speaking to like a financial advisor about where best to invest and what times and everything. So my wife and I are like looking at that now, just because we just want to be in a place where it's like 5 years from now, we don't necessarily have to worry about like, will somebody pay me on time?
Yeah.
They said 30 days. It's been 3 months. Do you know what I mean? What about you? Is there any ways that you're looking to diversify your income?
I think now that I'm about to quit my job, I'm starting to think about it just because I don't have that comfortability of like the monthly paycheck.
Yeah.
But yes, I've like got like a clothing brand or like merchandise brand like
Yes, I'm very excited
coming out. So excited for that. And kind of like what you said, I think now I'm opening myself up to kind of more like freelance gigs for like video directing or like, because I know like back then I never realized how much it could like the whole social media space could open up like stuff like that for gigs. Because back then I had to say no because I had my 9 to 5 and I had my own personal stuff that I was like, I can't really direct your music video or like direct a short film. But I think now that I'm gonna have more time, I'm gonna do like a lot of those like freelancing. Even when it comes to like programming, I'll probably like freelance more on that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Then hopefully YouTube AdSense.
Yeah.
Even though it's like apparently like not good, but it's another like cash flow. So
Yeah, I think anything that you can do something once and get paid for it is good. I think it's more so like how much it pays you. But in the beginning, it will compound. Like it will compound over time. Do you know what I mean? In the beginning, it may not be great.
yeah,
But I think me looking at your YouTube videos, I'm just like, yeah, he's going to be gone. Like,
hopefully for both of us.
Hopefully.
But yeah, that's one thing I learned. I think just you gotta have like several income streams as a creator.
I think so. I do think so. Especially if it's like you want to build. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's just being wise with your money and like understanding that you may not know something, but there is somebody that is doing something and has done something before. So it's like, right, is there something I could look into, or even just get advice?
What's like a dream product you'd love to have like as an income stream? Because I know like some creators are coming up with like makeup brands or like coffee, like actual things that are just so off like branded from like the usual.
Oh, a dream product.
Yeah.
You know what? There's two. One that's like quite achievable. So my brother's a fashion atelier, also a content creator. Robert Jesse on Instagram. Go check it out. But he's had like job offers from like like people who are fundamental to British fashion. And we've always spoken about doing something together. So who knows? You might see something from that. And then I've always thought about like designing my own shoe. Yeah, like I said, I'm super into like sneakers.
Yeah.
Trainers. Sorry, too much American TV. And even more so now, like traditional shoes, loafers, boots, and everything. So I've always thought like, what would I like to make, and how can I make it a little bit different to what's out there? Do you know? So I do spend a lot of my time looking at like men's footwear, women's footwear, looking at different silhouettes. So maybe that's a bit on brand.
Yeah.
But
no, I get that.
I don't know. Yeah. What about you?
I think for me, if it was an on-brand thing, I feel like tech gear, but like camera gear, like a collaboration with a company. Yeah. But if it was off-brand, I think it's gonna have to be like coffee. I feel like I always find it interesting to create a lot of coffee because of like how crazy like that switch up would be like that you're creating now. You're making like this coffee, like Chamberlain coffee.
Yeah.
My friend does Sunny Deco. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I think all these things are like they're achievable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I think as long as you like it and you have a passion for it, like you can literally like go and do it. I'm very careful of just saying you can do anything in the world, but I think
you can.
You can. I definitely can't play in the NBA, but you definitely can. But I think like if you have the passion for it, you have the resource, you have the time, and you actually genuinely like it, then like you can make it. Even if it's not going to be like a commercial success, I think there's such a power and a beautiful thing of bringing something from idea to creation. And if it's like 3 people, 10,000 people who enjoy it, the fact that you've even done it is like that's where the true magic is with stuff. You know what I mean?
Wait, is that the phone ringing? Oh, I think I got a call.
Should we pick up?
I was just wondering, do you ever feel out of touch sometimes when talking about content creation and your struggles as a content creator to your non-content creator friends?
That's a good question. Do I ever feel out of touch when talking about content creation to non-creator friends? I sometimes, yes. I think not necessarily in the terms of like making things, because in that comes a lot of work. Like I have to. Sometimes I'm like days in front of like presentations, making things and sending things off. So it's not like it doesn't feel like I've left what I was doing before. But there's also this freedom that comes with being a creator that I've discovered over the last year, that I can be like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to stop working at like 2 p.m., 3 p.m. and go to the shop. Who wants to come? And it's like, we're working today. I'm like, oh yeah. So I forget that. And also, I think the money aspect of it too.
Agree.
Thankfully, I have a group of friends, like we know how much each other earns. Like we know what we're spending our money on. Like we have that like deep of a friendship. So it's not necessarily like they're going to be like, it's not a thing where I'm thinking, oh, are they looking at me a different way and everything. But I think I still have to wrap my head around that. Like this is like, as you were saying, it's like crazy in some ways that people want to pay you that much to do it. So you have to. It's something I have to still navigate. And then around like family and friends and everything. Even me saying that the 75K, I know one of my family members is going to be like, you said what? And I'm gonna have to explain.
They don't watch this.
Do you know what I mean? But I'm quite transparent. Like if people ask me, I'll tell you. I think maybe I'm just thinking, do I have to manage your reaction to it rather than me being shy to say, yeah.
No, I agree. I think that's the same for me, where it's like the money aspect of it. Like I don't like talking about the money aspect of it. Like it's because I just feel like it would just make me feel so out of touch, or wherever it's like, am I boasting about what I'm making? But it's like, is it? But which I'm not. But at the same time, it's like, and I don't want to put down, especially when like I talk to my parents. I'm like, they always ask like how much it is, because obviously they're like, are you okay with like doing the work? And then obviously I'd say it, and it's like, it's crazy because sometimes it's stuff that they'd work so hard for.
Yeah.
Like in a month, and here I am like doing like a video for like 30 seconds. So that's where I start to feel like out of touch with it.
Yeah.
And especially like with friends and so like you said, I think it's just to manage like expectations on like that end.
Yeah.
And going back to friends, also I feel like recently I've been hanging out with a lot of like creative friends that I've almost kind of like not ditched like my normal friends, but I'm sure like when they see like, oh, like you said you weren't free, but it's like, I mean, I wasn't free. But obviously I'm like working and collaborating, and obviously it's like that's when I start to feel like kind of like out of touch, because it's become like, I guess we're friends, but we're also like colleagues in a way, because we're trying to collab on content.
Yeah, it's true. And also just like, if I see you shooting something, I'm like, hey, do you need help with this?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Because I know
you'll be free too. Like,
going
back to what you said, you forget like, especially like once I quit, then obviously like, I'm gonna probably be like you. It's like, oh yeah, you guys want to grab a coffee at like 3 p.m, not realizing that they're like at work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I'll be hitting you up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm always down for a hangout, man. Cool.
Hi, I wanted to know how you deal with big brands not having the budget for you and knowing how to negotiate to make sure you don't lose the deal. If you have any tips, I would love to hear them.
Cool. How to negotiate with big brands who don't have the budget and don't lose the deal if you want to negotiate with them. I think what I do is I always try to set expectations. So if they know me for a type of video, and they want me to shoot with similar equipment and everything, and they don't have the budget, then I say, you'll still get a quality video in terms of storytelling and everything. It won't look like, visually, it won't look like what you want it to. The creative execution and me being creative will still be there. But I also have to, if I'm thinking of myself as a business, and one day I might have people helping me out, I also have that responsibility to know when not to sell myself short.
Yeah.
And I think saying no, like what you say no to, is what you become. So me saying no to these things gives me peace of mind, but also says to them, like, if we're serious, then, and we want to work with Keith in this way, then yeah, we have to find the middle ground. And it's not, I'm not a like, no, like I would never come down to it. Like, it's not that.
Yeah.
For me, it's more about a mutual respect. Or if I know that it might lead to a longer relationship with them, then that I'm even more willing to negotiate and do everything. But it means that both sides have to bend. It can't just be one. And I think you can only get to that when I felt like the best conversation I've had with that is when I've had a face-to-face or like a video call with them to let them know I'm not it, because that can sound crazy over an email. Like, no, come down to that can sound crazy over an email. But when you hear the another human speaking to you and they're giving you reasonings, they're understanding, they're sympathizing with what you're saying, it becomes a lot more. It becomes an actual conversation. And you understand now it's not between you two. As we're sitting here, it's not the problem between us. We put the problem out in front of us, and we both look at it and say, "How do we now do stuff together?" And I think that is that's how I kind of like negotiate those things. Some things you just got to say no to. Like if you're asking me to review let's say a keyboard or a phone, and you want to pay me £50, my friend.
Yeah,
I love
an amazing
keyboard. That's crazy. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I'll refer you. I'll literally just like, hey, there's other people who would be able to do that. Here's my rate. Like we can talk if you want to do something else. But
I agree with everything you said. I think for me, like, I agree with what you said. But with like depending on the brand too, I think that's when I'm like, if it's one of my dream brands, I think that's when I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna just do it just because I've always wanted to just So. Yeah, that's like plan F.
Yeah, I think dream brand. When it's a dream brand, that's when it's like, okay, right. Like I might have to compromise on my morals a little bit. No, but I saw even with that, I would even say, like, I've actually said no to dream brands. You know,
really?
Yeah, I've said no. Sometimes I sit there awake at night. I'm like, was this the right thing to do?
What's be a dream brand? What was that?
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And I sit there, I'm just like, actually, no, because if I know that, I was able to work with this way of another brand, and they're great, like great brand or like a brand that I'm like learning about and they're cool in this way, and Dream Brand wants me to come and do the same thing, the work stays the same. And I now start looking at the work not as equal because I'm just like, actually, was this the right thing to do? So I get you. It's tough. It's definitely tough. But it's literally what I was saying earlier. I always feel like it will come back around to you.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Especially in this industry. It's like it's a small industry. People will come back around, I think. Thanks for calling the ConC Hotline. I hope that helps. Cool, no worries.
Cool. Anyway, thank you for talking to me here.
Thank you for talking to me, man.
Just having a conversation. But yeah, give us a tea. What have you got? Future projects?
Yeah, I am working on. I don't even know if I can say the names, but I am working on a few different things, which I'm quite excited about. And it's in some of it's in like content creation, some of it's in like working on production and directing and everything. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, all the cameras if you want to see what that's going to be.
What's your at?
Oh, my name, Keith Afadi. Yeah, I probably should have started with that. But yeah, some cool stuff. And then yeah, probably the thing with my brother.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. What about yourself?
So for me, yeah, I think quitting my job, so I'm gonna be doing a series on like just chasing my dreams.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like with the Warrior Later merch and events. So I mean, I'll probably be doing stuff with you, just community events. Just to kind of get everyone inspired. So yeah, just follow me on @Paolo everywhere: TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Events. Definitely look out for events.
Yeah.
Events.
Events for sure.
Do you have a final message to content creators or anyone looking to become a content creator?
Yeah, as cliche as it sounds for me, I've always told people to just start. Get over the whole cringe mountain and just start. Because the moment I did that, that's when I started seeing like results with like content and growing on social media. So
literally echo everything you just said there. Like starting is just the best thing you can do. It doesn't have to be perfect. I actually believe perfection should only be given the title of perfect by the person who takes in the thing that you create. It should never come from you, because if you chase perfection, you'll never do anything. I think doing things with a spirit of excellence, sure, you can do things excellently, but I think someone has to be able to be like, this was perfect, and they can tell you why it was perfect. And you may not even agree, but you've given them a value for them to be able to enjoy.
100%.
So I think starting is like, you need to start, and you need to start humbly, build yourself up. If you have the idea, you're not sure how to bridge that gap, start with what you know, make incremental changes each time, and before you know it, you'll be like, how did I? Like, it's like Samuel Jackson started acting at 40 years old. Do you get what I mean? Like at one point, he was like, I just got to start. We would not have Samuel Jackson if he didn't have that conversation with himself. Do you get what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's just like we have to take that into ourselves. That's a random example. Sorry, I don't know. I think I watched a masterclass video of him recently. But
I think another like final message I want to say is just like try to just stick to like yourself. Just be yourself and all like the content. I think like we touched on earlier, like if you kind of like blow up doing something that you're not really like into, it's gonna just feel like a chore. Yeah. So I think I'd just rather make your own content like that's true to yourself, and even if it's not gonna grow as quick as you think it would be, it's still better than blowing up on something that you don't really like doing. So
yeah, facts. 100. Make sure you're leaving us a rating or review on any of the podcast platforms, and if you're watching, drop us a comment, and don't forget to subscribe and make your life great.
Like and subscribe.
Always
want to say that.
You say it all the time. Wow.